Hey everybody, DM Jim here, and welcome to a new episode of the Tabletop Engineer. You know, I DM every Wednesday for a small group of players, and one of the things I've learned as a DM over the years is don't ever get into a pattern where you're not willing to change something at the table to make the game better. And for this reason, I'm always reading books on DMing. I listen to other YouTube channels where people offer up their advice on being a better DM. I am in no way a great DM, but I do like being a DM. And for this reason, I refuse to ever lock myself in and say, I'm done. This is how I run the table. And so what I want to do today is I'm going to be making something for my table that I think you will find very interesting. And I take no credit for this, okay? I'm going to put a link below to a new, well, to me, a new YouTube channel. You may already know him as Professor Dungeon Master. I don't know his real name, but he runs a channel called Dungeon Craft. And again, I'll put a link below. I have recently discovered Dungeon Craft. I don't know how I have missed this guy because I watch a lot of DMing channels. He has a mixture of crafting projects in video as well as discussion on how to run a DM or how a DM can run his game better or her game better. It's excellent stuff. I want to say he's up in like the 60s or 70s of videos. I have not caught up yet. I'm watching them out of order because some of the titles of these videos are just so interesting to me. I really should go and watch them in order, but I'm not. I'm watching them all out of order. But one of the things I saw in a video or two of his recently was his use of a lazy Susan on the table. He goes along with DM Scotty's concept of no walls. When there are walls, it's usually things like doors and fireplaces and things that give you an idea of what the room is, but they don't limit any particular player's view of the table. I got away from walls probably more than a year or two ago because I was realizing that some of my players at my table were having a hard time, seeing down even a 2-inch high terrain wall, which I don't have one with me, but most of the terrain that you see out there today that has walls, it's about 2 inches high, give or take. And what I learned was those walls are just high enough that when you're a player, if you're sitting more than, say, a couple feet back, you tend to have to stand up and look down to see things that your angle of vision may not see. And so I gave up on walls. I go along with DM Scotty's concept of get rid of the walls and let the player's imagination sort of fill in the boundaries. Well, Professor Dungeon Master takes it one step further. Not only does he not use walls, but he uses a lazy Susan that he can rotate. And players can rotate it. As I understand it, his players can move it so that they can see like angles and point of view and things like that. He also uses it in an interesting way. Because he has such a large lazy Susan, he can put 2 different scenes on it. He'll have one that faces the players, and he can set up another one on the second half. And then when the scene changes, he just rotates it, and the players are seeing a new scene. It's just one of those aha, like, how could I not have thought of that moments? So the first thing I did, today is Monday. The first thing I did this morning was I ran to Bed Bath & Beyond here in Atlanta. I don't know if you have one where you are, but maybe you could order it online. I went to the guy and I said, do you have lazy Susans? He said, yeah, follow me. He took me over there and they have every size imaginable. I said, I want the biggest one. He goes, well, that's it. So I got the 18-inch lazy Susan right here. And this is the one I believe that Professor Dungeon Master uses. I'm holding it on the bottom here, and as you can see, it spins really easy. It's not loud. It has a non-stick surface or a non-slip. It's like this rubbery coating on the top that will be great because if you put a piece of foam down on this for terrain, it's less likely to shift. Now, if you spin this fast enough, things are going to tip over, but your players will have to learn that the hard way. The only thing I don't like about it is this blinding white case. So what I'm going to do in this week's episode is I'm going to prep this. I'm going to paint it. I'm also going to make some inserts. This has about a little more than a 1/4 inch, but not quite a 1/2 inch depth to it. There's a lip here, right here. Okay, see that? So a 1/2 inch piece of foam is going to stick up just above the surface, which is going to be perfect. You won't see this textured slippy surface, anti-slip surface, only the terrain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get this painted, and then I'm going to hit the table and start making some inserts for this various terrain that I can take with me and quickly sub them out. I thought about using magnets, but again, this surface is sort of designed to, you don't need that. But obviously, if you want to put magnets on it, you could magnetize terrain to go down on it. So let me get to the garage, paint this, and then we'll get started. First step is done. I used a hammered dark gray metallic and just painted all around the edge. Underside's still white. I might go back and paint it one day. But this will definitely, the bright white was too distracting. I think when players are at the table, you know, they'll be looking at here, but that white strip was just too blinding. So I thought about going black, but this hammered gray just looks good. I just like the metallic look of it. So now that I've got it painted, it's time to create the 18-inch diameter pieces that I can use to place on here for gameplay. Okay, first up, I have this old piece. You can see it's got some damage on it where the foam has been scratched away. This was, I created this probably over a year ago for like a tavern scene. It's square and it's much larger than the 18-inch diameter. So I should be able to just place this over it, cut it out, and then trim it to fit the inner edge. So I'm going to do that next. So there you go. Something to consider if you're a DM adding to your table is the Lazy Susan. Again, can't take credit for this idea. I found it on Dungeon Craft from Professor Dungeon Master, and I cannot wait to start using this at my table. It's going to allow all of my players a chance to rotate it to see things from a different point of view. It's going to allow me to change out the centerpiece. I have the wooden tavern or wood floor. I have a stone pattern for it, and as you can see, I just made the water. To get that effect, I just wanted to mention I used the Liquitex flexible modeling paste. I just smeared it all over, and then I just used my fingers and just tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it, and when you pull your hand away, it causes it to raise up, and it gives it that that look of like there's waves. So hopefully you can recreate that. But Professor Dungeon Master, thank you so much. I'm really enjoying your channel. I'm getting a lot of ideas for my own table of players. And now with this Lazy Susan, I think it's going to help a lot of my players to get a better view from a different angle. Whereas, I used to just put terrain down, and if you were sitting on my left, that was your view. And if you were sitting on my right, that was your view. That's going to change. Anyway, this is not a hard thing to do. The Lazy Susan you don't make. Just buy one. Find it on sale if you can. It's making the centerpieces that you'll want to get started on. I'm already thinking of different ones. I know I want to make a desert one, and I also wanted to make a jungle one with just some, bushes and trees and stuff like that. So it's going to be an interesting tool to use, and hopefully my players enjoy it as much as I think I'm going to enjoy it. All right, this is DM Jim. I am out of here until a new video next week. Please remember, come join me at the YouTube Engineer Facebook page and join if you'd like to see some of the live events and other discussions going on over there. Please remember, the first of the month is the release of the Bexham's Bazaar Gaming Crafters magazine. It comes out on the first of the month, every month, and issue number 8 is coming out on August 1st. I think you'll like that issue. If you're not a subscriber, please go to patreon.com/Bexham's Bazaar, BEXIMS Bazaar. That's it. Have a great weekend.